Hi Stuart,
Hi Anna.
how you doing? All
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, all good. Yeah, um, had a fun packed day going to Mount Kelly. So we're doing more community feeding down there, but I can talk to you about that in a bit if you want.
Yeah. So your title, which I actually get from your email, is Regional Development Chef.
Yeah,
So what exactly, can you just tell me a bit more about it? Like what exactly does that entail for you?
yeah. So I mean, I originally started with the company last year, and my role then was the um, regional exec chef for the Southwest. And that role entailed looking after the relief team that sit in the southwest. Because before that, by all accounts, they were all one and were all looked after by Gavin Tarbuck. So obviously, he's in Superman and can't look after everyone. So the idea was is that by bringing it this way, we wouldn't have people going all over the place. And so the guys that sit in my area would be in this area. So we've now got it to a point where we've got people that are placed in all different parts of the southwest region, so that ultimately they shouldn't be traveling miles because no one wants to travel further and they really have to every day. And some of these guys have to do long journeys. So I look after them. Um, Another part of my role is to was to also manage kitchens and help them and bring them on so that we can solve problems that they've got, because there's problems all the time, and if we can solve those problems, then another pair of eyes can do that. um, any functions and that we've got on and they need support, again helping them with that, and just generally being a support line for the chefs really, and to be able to help them bring new stuff on, doing costings for potential new stuff that we've got coming on, and openings when we've got new openings. So I opened up Prince's Mead last year when I first started, um, and just doing lots of different things like that. And then just before the lockdown, really, I was asked to change my role to the development chef for the area, and so that's now my role is to be for the southwest, is to basically again just do a bit more of that, and hopefully at some point, again obviously the parameters have changed around that because of what's happened, but the idea is that I then have someone else behind me that can support the team as well, and so we can grow the area and get bigger in the southwest. And not, if we can, I want to help Thomas Frank do that, because ultimately that's what it's all about, is about pushing on and getting better. So yeah, that's my role as a really.
So you never really have quiet days. It doesn't really seem like that.
No, no, there's not really quiet days. No, no. So I've obviously, again, as I say, I've been with the company for a year, and I've done nigh on 30,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so yeah, but at the same time, it's been really interesting, and it's brilliant.
So apart from working throughout the lockdown, which I'll come back to, have you done anything else to keep yourself occupied? Taken any hobbies up?
Well, I've been for about a year and a bit now. I really like music. Um, and I'm really into, like, and you probably wouldn't believe this, and I'm probably going to make you laugh now. I'm into house music. Love it.
Ah,
And so just for a personal hobby, I decided to buy myself some equipment last year, DJ equipment, and I just do it as a personal hobby in a spare room we've got. It's my man cave, shall we call it? And so I've got a whole setup in there, and it's growing all the time, and it's getting bigger, and I've now got just over. So I've been doing it a year and a bit, and I've accumulated around about 7,000 tracks,
wow.
and it's growing because I just want to have this big massive tracks, and I just love dance music, house music, all that sort of stuff. When I was a bit younger, I liked a lot of pop music. I still do. I love pop music. I think some people stick their nose up it and go, "Oh no, I don't listen to pop music." But I would listen to pop music all the time. But I wanted to listen to some more stuff that weren't about that, and so I've discovered lots of really far out there house music, all sorts of things, and So I've been doing lots of that. So that's quite good fun. And I do that when my partner's at work. I go up there and mess around on it. People go fishing, I do that. So
Don't worry, we do not need a DJ at Christmas party this year. Stuart's here, everybody.
no. As I said, private, and that's all it'll ever be. It's never intended to be anything else. But yeah, no, it's good fun. It's just when you're wound up or anything, you come home, you can just listen to that, put the headphones on, and do that. But it's quite funky. I do like doing it. It's a laugh. It's a laugh. But yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
on. As moving on, so how, as people know, during the pandemic, Thomas Frank set up Thomas Frank's Feeding Communities, and it actually started really down in the southwest. So do you want to tell me a bit about what you guys were doing down there, and also what your role within that was?
Yeah, so initially, I think it all really started with obviously Renkum and obviously Dean and Vicky and Christine decided to come up with doing a Meals on Wheels type service around. It was a couple of things really, about selling veg to the local community. It was about doing the Meals on Wheels, which Dean then did, and it just went on for ages. And he had like these corporate. It was almost like he had a bit of a groupie type thing going on, because he was going around to all these people, and they'd have conversations with him, and they'd send him lovely emails, and it was amazing. But on the back of that, Gavin then ended up getting stuff. Gavin. Gavin got
Young?
stuff. Young, that's the word. Jesus Christ. So Gavin Young, it's because of Gavin Young, Gavin too. But anyway, so Gavin Young got some stuff around the long table, and we ended up having like a meeting around the long table, and we said we could deliver it. And basically that all came out of that. So we started feeding them. So I got involved in doing a lot of the background work with the long table. I was talking to Tom Herbert, who's the guy who was leading it from their point of view. Sorry, Gavin, I'm so sorry. He'll laugh at that, I hope. So anyway, so we ended up doing the feeding around that, and it every week it was getting bigger, and I was doing a lot of communications with Blaine around that, and we were doing all of that stuff with that, and it just become crazy to the point where after the first we were like, we're not going to fit this all in the freezer. We're going to need a better solution. And then luckily we managed to sort out the freezer, which was supplied by Savona, which was a massive help. And after that, it became a lot easier to actually achieve that. So yeah, so we after that we were using the van and the lorry as such, and it was really achievable with that. So it was really good, and it made life so much easier to be able to deliver that. But it just went on, and in the end we ended up getting Kings involved in it, because again we were doing stuff around that, and we ended up doing a project with Help the Hungry in Gloucester, and we were dealing with a gentleman called Hash who was doing that project, and we were doing stuff around that, and it's just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled to the point where we're now, which I think you're going to ask me in a minute, aren't you, about which was the next question. So I don't know if you want to ask that first.
I was just going to ask you, yeah.
So we've picked up some funding to feed the Southwest, which came on the back of us doing the Feeding 10,000. So we did that 10,000, the part of the 10,000 feeding. We delivered 1,000 meals into Somerset, and they loved it that much, and we were like, this is great. So the person that's running that said, is this possible? Could you do this going forward? So Vicky then said, yeah, we can do that. We'll get some costings over to you about what we'd need to do to be able to achieve it. And they've done that, and they've come back to us with funding. And now we're doing meals out of Mount Kelly for the next 4 weeks, and I'm sure it's not going to end there, along with pot noodles. But so
you know what I love about the Southwest was when you had King's sixth former girls coming in and helping. That's well, not to say too much, it's the start of something else. You know, it's brilliant.
Well, I mean, David, the headmaster there, wanted us to involve them, and we were really keen for them to be involved. And we ended up having two groups of sixth formers that came in and got involved in that, and they were both really like encouraged to be in it, and they loved doing it, and it was quite funny watching them do it. It was they enjoyed it. They really did enjoy it, and they were really good. It was good fun doing it with them, and the guys from the relief team that helped on that, Scott and Nigel, were brilliant. And the same with all the people that helped at Arenkum. Like, obviously, myself, Dean, and Darius were the nucleus of that, and we were there pretty much doing all of it. And then we did have other people coming in. So Stuart McFadden from head office came and got involved in it, which was brilliant. And the Chris, the head chef there, got involved in it a bit. And we had a couple of the GAs got involved in it as well. And it was really good to do that, and the school absolutely loved it. I mean, it was I know it was really good from their point of view. They did actually like it, and again, I think that has given us massive legs in continuing to do that community feeding in the southwest, and it's something that we want to grow and do more of if we can, and hopefully we can. It's definitely the Mount Kelly thing will definitely help with that, I think. And today when I was down there today, the deputy headmaster was saying it's just amazing, it's incredible. So because he'd come in I think to get some biscuits from Matt, because I think they're fairly isolated there in that sense. But again, it was funny because I was saying to the guys today at Mount Kelly, I was saying, "Oh, thank you so much for coming down and being involved in it." And so one of the chefs, I think it was James, one of them anyway, turned around and he went, "You don't have to thank me. I wanted to get away from the kids." so again, they're all like really keen to get away from being in permanent. I know lots of them have said that. So that's been really cool. So yeah.
So what do you think was the best thing that you saw during feeding communities?
If I'm honest, it wasn't the best thing I saw was when Gavin Tarbucks did that massive video of the stuff that they did at one of the London sites, and he had that. And do you know the photo I want to?
I think I do, yeah.
That was absolutely incredible. And the other thing that was incredible was when me and Dean did that laying up of all the pots and put it on the video. That was really it was really cool, and I really did enjoy being involved. And that's not something I would normally do. It's not something I want to be involved in either. But it, again, Dean has this habit of getting you involved in stuff, because he did it to the point where I even got involved in doing that, putting a silly, stupid Willy Wonka wig on for Frank's birthday message, which was funny. It was really funny, and I would have never done that. So it was cool. Yeah. So no, it's been funny.
So right back to the beginning then. So where did you start chefing, as it were, and how did you get into it?
Well, so I got into chefing really from a couple of things really. When I lived in Kent, which is where I come from, my home economics teacher was actually my tutor, and she encouraged me, because I would always go on about I don't want to end up on the local industrial estate, because I didn't want to end up on that. And she said, go into chefing, go into that and do that. So I was like, okay. And so she encouraged me to do that, and I ended up going into it because of that. And at the same time, there was a local steakhouse which was about near Sevenoaks. And I went and worked there as a KP when I was 15, and I did that until I was 18, while I was going to college. And while that process was going on, I mean, they used to do like 300-400 steaks on a Saturday night. It was, and I ended up getting involved in that and doing that. So I was doing that, and I went to West Kent College in Tunbridge, and so that's how I got into it, because of that really. And then I went from there, and I've done several things since that, but I've mainly been in contract catering, which which I worked in London for a long while, in Canary Wharf, and in Fleet Street, so years back. So that's where really that's where I've really been in that sense. But I have mainly done contract catering, and that was because, if I'm honest, I wanted the hours. I didn't really want to do evenings and weekends permanently, and so I avoided it like the plague, if I'm honest, because it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do that. I actually sideswiped for a while and went into working in bakeries for a while as well, and that was quite good, because it actually taught me a lot at the time. But it was before. It was funny, because when I was taught about stuff, that was before the sourdough thing became the trendy latest thing. And so obviously a lot of what we did was proper scratch bakery, but it was never around sourdough. So yeah, that's been quite weird, because I've only recently learned how to do that. So I mean, because it's not something I'd done before. So, and that's been quite interesting. So I've been messing around with that quite a bit. Again, when I've been in my spare time, I've been doing a bit of that as well, which has been really funky, and been quite cool. But yeah, so no, that's where I started, and that's why now, and where I've ended up being working for Thomas Franks later on down the line, which has been great.
Do you know, that's actually KP was my first job as well.
Grim, isn't it?
It was horrible, and I didn't get given gloves. So
no, I had the same thing, and we used to at that site I worked at that place I worked at, we used to have all these big oval plates, because back in the late 80s, that's what used to be given out, and they'd all come back, and they'd all be stacked up high. And sometimes I'd be working on Saturday night. I'd be working till like 1:30 in the morning, finishing plates. Oh, it was grim, because it used to go on to 11:30, and then by the time you'd got rid of the backlog, it was yeah, and you'd be going. And then they used to provide a taxi for you to go home on a Saturday night, which was good, because obviously you're working late on a Saturday, and then they'd get you a taxi home. But it was always grim, and when you came out of there, you did feel like you'd really, it was first thing you do when you get home, bath or shower straight away. It was not nice at all.
So my next question to you was, who kind of inspired you? So do you think that was your home economics teacher then?
It was that, and back in the late 80s again, Gary Rhodes did MasterChef, or an earlier version with Lloyd Grossman. I think Lloyd Grossman was doing it with him at the time. And I like Gary Rhodes. I did like what he did, and I did like what he was doing in that sense. And I think it was Gary Rhodes that was another reason. And again, I wouldn't admit to it now, really, in that sense, which I'm probably going to, because I'm going to open my mouth. So the whole thing with his spiky hair. I mean, I wouldn't. He used to have these horrible chef's trousers on, which are like the worst thing ever, and I would never want to be in anything like that. But at the time, they were like the latest thing. And then you'd go in and you see people in these stupid chef's trousers, which, as far as I'm concerned, black is the best way. Black and white is where it should be. No, anything else just looks horrible. So, but yeah, no. So I'd say probably Gary Rhodes, and then I would say Rick Stein as well. Love Rick Stein. I think Rick Stein does some amazing stuff, and then later on, obviously, when I'd got into cooking a bit more, can't think of his name now. There was a chef that's in Devon Way. I shouldn't have gone there. I knew I was saying it. I shouldn't have gone there. But anyway, I can't think of his name now. It'll come to me in a minute.
He was such an inspiration, you forgot his name.
No, don't go. That's not very nice. That's like beating someone live online. That's not nice. But oh yeah, it's gonna. I'm not even gonna go there. Let's just forget him. He didn't exist. But yeah, no. Gary Rhodes probably was the person that inspired me the most at that time, especially in the late 80s. He was massive in the late 80s anyway. So, but yeah, no, and that's probably why. And as I say, and the home economics teacher as well that had a massive influence on where I went, in the sense, because I just didn't want to end up working. That's where everyone that went to my local school, where our school was. I lived on an estate, a council estate over the road, and then there was this industrial estate the other side, and I was determined that I would never work there in my whole life, and thank God I've never worked there. So and I wouldn't want to work there. It's just somewhere where a lot of people ended up, and not throughout any of their choice of their own. It was just where the work was, and obviously if you were from that background, then that's where you ended up. So, and I was just determined I wasn't ever going to end there. So yeah, so no.
So when would you say you're kind of happiest at work?
When I'm able to help people do their jobs. So as far as I'm concerned, I consider myself a support function, and that is what I am. I am a support function to be able to help the people that do the real jobs in our kitchens day in, day out, that sweat blood for us in effect every day, making sure that we can provide our clients with the food that they need, and the children with the food that they need, enabling them to be able to deliver what they need to deliver, and that's key at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. Is at the end of the day, we are there for our clients, and being able to provide our clients with the food that they need and the requirements they need, and doing functions for them, all that sort of stuff. And just being able to help through that process. Yeah. That's for me. That's what it's about, and that's when I'm at the happiest, when we're delivering that.
So I've asked Blaine and Holly this question, so there's no pressure because they've given me great answers. But if you were to have dinner with 3 famous people, or not, they don't have to be famous, but just anyone, who would they be and why? And then what meal would you have as well?
Oh, now you did. I didn't see that part in the question. No, have you changed that? I think you've changed that slightly. Yeah, I've thought about this quite a bit over the last day or so, and thinking about who it would be. So I've gone with Harrison Ford, because I like Harrison Ford. I love Star Wars, and I also love Indiana Jones. So definitely that. Or him. A chef that I think's amazing, and I've been in a room with his son, and I thought at the time, wow, it must have been amazing being with his dad. His dad inspiring him. Must have been amazing, and that's Michel Roux Senior. I'd definitely love to. He would definitely be someone that I'd love to have had a meal with. And then from a personal point of view, Halle Berry. And that's
no explanation.
Yeah, Halle Berry, amazing.
So what would you have to eat then?
Now that is tricky. Now you've made that bit hard. Oh God, I don't know really. Definitely, I would definitely have a fish course for a start, for a main, because love fish. It's incredible stuff. If I'm honest, probably turbot, something like that. But again, it's indulgent, and it is really nice turbot of some sort. I would have carpaccio beef, as for a main, for a starter, and for dessert, some sort of trio where you get all 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so something that along the lines of something really naughty, like some really disgustingly amazing chocolate dessert, some sort of mousse or posset or something along that sort of lines, because they're awesome. And then something that involves having some sort of sugar craft on top of it, because again, I used to work with a chef years ago, who, through my career, he's probably been the most helpful person to me, and I learned a lot off him. And we used to do sugar springs, and they always fascinated me when we did them. And he is an incredible chef, and I was very lucky to have worked with him early on when I was in Fleet Street, and an amazing guy. And so yeah, I would some sort of trio as a dessert, and definitely turbot, and yeah, that's what I would go with. Yeah.
And finally, what would you say is your favourite memory of Thomas Franks so far?
There's lots, and I've only been with the company, as I said, just under a year. But I would say my favourite thing would have been, there's two things actually, if I can say two.
Yeah.
One would be actually walking through the doors when I first joined, because I just felt like they were a company that it just felt right. And the second thing was actually delivering a function at Farley last week, because I was so proud of what the team did there. Yeah. And so yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Stuart, for talking with me today.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye bye.